Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel and welcome to our Champions League predictions for match day 5. We've got some massive games to predict here in this video. Obviously the big one being Liverpool and Real Madrid. Sporting have a chance to go and beat another English side when they take on Arsenal. And in there as well, Bayern Munich and PSG, who are very, very much two competitive sides there. And a lot throughout the whole table, some mid-table clashes and also some teams at the bottom looking to try and get their Champions League kicked off with some big upset wins as well. With that being said, guys, before we get into the predictions, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, press the post notification bell. You guys know the drill by now. If you're returning viewers, thank you for joining once again. And let's now get straight into our predictions for the Champions League match day number 5. Our first game sees Slovan Bratislava take on AC Milan. A very, very unlikely result, I'd imagine, here if Slovan Bratislava could get anything from this game here. They got humbled last time out 4-1 at the hands of Dinamo Zagreb and are well and truly the bottom team in the Champions League this season. 15 goals conceded in their first 4 Champions League games. And if they're going to get anything from this game, it's going to be a defensive masterclass. Takak in goal. The keeper's going to make a lot of saves against a very informed front line for Milan. And you look at the centre-backs, Guram Kasia, Kenan Badric at the heart of the defence there. They're going to be at their best here to try and prevent AC Milan doing what they like. Looking at AC Milan, they put together back-to-back wins, taking them to 6 points in the Champions League. A huge 3-1 win on the road to Real Madrid to firmly settle themselves amongst the mid-table at this current point in time. A big win here could take them close to those automatic qualifying positions in the top 8 there. And I think for me, in recent weeks, despite some inconsistency, we've seen the return to form from the likes of Rafa Leao up top. Alvaro Morata as well is performing much, much better. But I feel like in Champions League football this season, it's seen Reinders and Christian Pulisic who have stood up the most. And I think that'll be important yet again to getting these AC Milan attack going, to creating something special in the final third there and breaking apart what is going to 100% be a low block from Slovan Bratislava. For teams, it's been quick to get past this side, but if AC Milan do have some trouble, just keep peppering away, and I feel like those two players there will be the keys to separating the two sides for me. Looking at the result, despite Slovan Bratislava being at home, I don't give them much of a chance. They're going with an AC Milan 4-1 victory. Again, a big victory that could push them up towards the automatic promotion spots. Our next game sees Sparta Prague host Atletico Madrid. Looking at Sparta Prague, they remain on 4 points so far in the Champions League after a tough loss to Brest last time out. However, their league form continues to be really, really poor, meaning they've got no wins in their last 4 games in all competitions. They have a strong chance, I feel like, to have an upset here, though. Atletico Madrid are a very defensive side, don't create many opportunities and don't score a lot of goals. So if Sparta Prague can be clinical enough going forward, they do have a chance here to cause a bit of an upset. Lachi, Karinen in the midfield will be important figures, putting their body in there, breaking the play up, being combative and competing with the Atletico side. They'll be very, very important there just to disrupt what Atletico want to do on the ball. It'll be interesting battle to see who actually controls most of the possession. I imagine it being a bit of a 50-50 game. Sparta Prague being at home, Atletico having probably the far superior players, but it's going to be really competitive, really tight. And I feel like if they can congest that midfield area, it could go a long way for Sparta Prague getting a result in this game here. With Alatunji up top alongside Lucas Haraslin, they'll need to be clinical. Limited chances they're likely to get. If they can be clinical, potentially score a goal first, we could be seeing a surprise result here in Sparta Prague getting all 3 points in this game here. Looking at Atletico Madrid, they come up with a very stereotypical win last time at the Champions League, beating PSG and locking their way into the top 24 spots after the back of that win there. Lack of goals, though, continues to be a problem. That's the key factor for them. Looking like likes of Julian Alvarez or Simeone from the wide areas to create things, to make things happen. They're your sort of X factors, your spark players that have been very important for the side in recent weeks. And I feel like the one umpire, the difference maker, as he has been for many years now for Atletico Madrid, is Antoine Griezmann. If he can get heavily involved on the ball, show his elite level technical abilities and skills, he could just be the one factor that separates these two teams here. Also keep in mind Carrera off the bench for Atletico Madrid, who's been very, very decent in Champions League and League coming off the bench in recent weeks. With that being said, I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. I've got Atletico just nicking it though. The top quality players will get them over the line, I think. 2-1 for me. Sparta Prague potentially scoring first, but Atletico in the end winning this game of football. Our next game is an all top 8 clash. FC Barcelona host Brest. Barca coming into this game in 6th place, currently in the league table, 9 points so far in the Champions League, and going relatively well until recent weeks. Back-to-back games have dropped points in league football, drawing to Celta Vigo and also losing to Real Sociedad. So need to bounce back here in Champions League football. And you know the form that Lewandowski and Rafinha have been in up top. You know they're very clinical. They're very dangerous when they get their tails up. And in recent weeks, there's been a lack of creation. Big chances created for these sort of players. And as such, we've seen some performances being quite poor. So in this game here, with chance creation being on the mind for Barcelona and Hansi Flick, I looked at that midfield area there. Fermin, Pedri, Frankie de Jong. Can they be a bit more better in that midfield? Move the ball at a bit quicker pace, intensity, and try and play through those lines. It's going to be very, very difficult against a Brest side that will definitely come with the goal of getting a point and trying to get a clean sheet from this game here. They'll take anything from there. So it's going to be very tough for Barcelona to break down a very stubborn side in many regards in this game here. An early goal for me would really settle the nerves and be really key for Barcelona. Get a goal in those first 25, 30 minutes, and the game, you can cruise from there on in. But if the games go deeper and you have to force things and make things happen, that's when Brest can get on the counter-attack and really cause the side some problems. Looking at Brest, remain undefeated. 4th place currently. Last time had a 2-1 hard-fought win over Sparta Prague. With back-to-back losses in league football, shows the side, the struggles the side has had in domestic play. They'll want to bounce back here. And I feel like a tight midfield set up with Fernandes, Melu, Camara staying nice and compact in the centre of the park there, staying nice and deep and forcing Barcelona wide and forcing them to cross the ball into the box will be the key for me. I think keep Barcelona out of those central areas where they can cause danger, and in particular, space and time on the ball. I think if you force Barcelona to play a bit more rushed, with a bit less focus and time on the ball to pick the pass, that's when you can see the side fall apart a little bit. If they do not win the midfield battle, if the Brest side can make it a real scrap in there, that goes a long way for them getting something from this game of football here. Obviously, the counter-attacking style of football will be used, so a clinical Ayorke up top will be vital for the Brest side to get something from the game, maybe even potentially all 3 points. With that being said, Barcelona at home, needing to bounce back. Some of the players they've got on their side, I can't see them dropping this game here. I've got a Barcelona 3-1 win. They get back to winning ways and push their way further up the Champions League table. With to Germany next as Bayer Leverkusen take on RB Salzburg. Looking at Leverkusen, an absolute demolition last time out by Liverpool. Really, really poor in that game. They're a 4-0 loss, and it sort of summed up their season. A bit of a mixed bag in many regards. They sit 13th currently in the Champions League table, and they really need a strong result here in this game to push themselves back up and near those top sides in the league standings. With that being said, though, the goals and the movement and the passages of play have really fallen apart in the final third in recent weeks. It's something that hasn't been synonymous with Bayer Leverkusen for some time now under Xabi Alonso, or at all under Xabi Alonso's management, but I'm looking for more in the final third. A lot of possession, a lot of needless possession in many regards, and not that same clinical edge and incisive movement in the final third. And I feel like in this game here, a big key player to that is going to be those wide areas. What can Grimaldo do in those wide areas? What can Frimpong do in those wide areas? Because when those two play at their best, it often helps Leverkusen with their attacking football, their fluidity of play, and allows more spaces for like Florian Wirtz, Hoffman, Alex Garcia to operate in that sort of number 10 role as well. And a lot obviously falls on to Patrick Schick, who's had some great performances in recent weeks. He'll need to keep up that form if this Bayer Leverkusen side wants to get their attacking play firing and get back in winning ways here versus an RB Salzburg side. They picked up their first win last time at the Champions League, a massive 3-1 win on the road versus Feyenoord, something that not many people expected, but a really, really impressive result at that. A key of that game was keeping Feyenoord at arm's length, sitting in compact enough, but not sitting in too deep that they'll allow the overwhelming amount of pressure to build up from Feyenoord. And that sort of balance between defending passively and also aggressively will be key against a Leverkusen side. We know how vulnerable they can be at the back, so you still got to go at them and look at the like of an Oscar Galuk and a more progressive midfield position to really pressurise that back three there, cause some chaos on the break or potentially in possession. And because we know how vulnerable the back three for Leverkusen can be this season, we've seen them concede some very dodgy goals. So you still got to get in the front foot versus Leverkusen side and attack maybe your best form of defence in many regards if you're RB Salzburg in this game here. Looking like Sabaidu, Patowski at the heart of the defence there to shut down the likes of Schick and Wirtz that like to operate in those tight areas. If they can do that, they can keep Wirtz out of the game, keep Schick out of the game, it'll go a long way for Salzburg getting their result. With that being said, I think Bayer Leverkusen get back to winning ways here. They've gone with a 3-0 win. They make a statement here and they get back on track in the Champions League. The next games are one of the big ones from this week. Bayern Munich host PSG. We're back in Germany, and what a game this one is going to be. Two massive giants in European football. You look at Bayern, a very dominant 1-0 win last time out versus Benfica. Takes them a 6 points so far in the Champions League. Bit of a mixed bag. We know how good they've been in league play, but not quite as good on the Champions League stage. And I feel like if they can take over some of that immaculate Bundesliga form where they're not conceding any goals and they're scoring goals for fun, we'll see them absolutely coast the Champions League this season because some of their league form has been ridiculous. In this game here, you look to that midfield combination. Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka, a more experienced combination in midfield, a very strong, robust, combative midfield duo that I think might be the difference in this game here versus a younger, more inexperienced midfield that PSG have got. Yes, they're very talented, but they're much younger. They haven't been on these big stages as much as these two players here, so they could cause a lot of havoc in midfield there and keep, I guess, the pressure on this PSG side and keep Bayern Munich in control of the pace and tempo of this game of football. I'm also looking at Harry Kane up top, a hat-trick on the weekend, scoring goals for fun in league play. Can he get a few more goals in the Champions League and be a difference maker in this game here, just simply with his clinical finishing in the box there? He'll be a very, very important figure for Bayern Munich. Going across to the Parisians and PSG, as equally as important as the Bayern Munich midfielders are, so is the PSG midfielders. Much younger side, Neves in there alongside Zaire Emery and Fabian Ruiz. Can they step up to the plate? Can they really be a problem in this game here for this Bayern Munich side? Because we know how good they are defensive. You're going to have to create some chances against a very, very dangerous back line. And you're going to have to truly just outwork them, out-pressurise them with and without the ball. They only sit on 4 points currently, PSG, after that loss 2-1 last time out versus Atletico Madrid. So they're desperate for a massive result. And simply put it, without a real central centre forward, looking to Dembele and Bradley Barcola from the flanks to produce moments of magic, whether it be on the break or in possession as well. Because right now it's Marco Asensio down the middle, and that's not an answer against a very strong back line. With some very informed players, with that being said as well. This defence as well will be very important. Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, Hakimi. Can they shut down the likes of Michael Olise, Kingsley Coman, Harry Kane, Yamal Musiala when they get the opportunity? It's very, very important that they defend first and attack second for me. You're on the road. Stay tight, compact defensively, keep your structure and attack from there. With that being said, I think it being a back and forth type game, I don't see there being many goals though. I'm going with a Bayern Munich 2-1 win for me. They've got the talent. They're in the better form. I think at home, they just edge it in this game here. Move to Italy for our next game as Inter Milan host RB Leipzig. A very interesting game, this one here. We've got Inter Milan who've been in some solid enough form, but without being really ridiculous this season. 5th currently in the Champions League without a loss. Haven't lost in the last 11 games, but the results have been far from impressive. Verona 5-0 smackdown last time out would give them some confidence going forward. Goals have been the problem in recent weeks, and I feel like it goes back to that midfield there. Hendrik Mkhitaryan alongside Barella and Hakan Çalhanoğlu are the keys. I say it a lot for Inter Milan, but when those three in the centre of the park are all firing, are all linking up the game well, the attacking football comes much easier for the Inter Milan side. You get the likes of those wing-backs pushing on and being a bit more dangerous with the faith that midfield three can protect the back three in many regards. And up top, Thuram alongside Lautaro Martinez, they've been patchy in many regards. One's been in good form, one's been in poor form. Can we see both of them firing at the same time? Because if we can, we're going to be seeing a very, very dangerous Inter Milan side, a side that can score goals for fun in many regards here. Obviously, looking at Leipzig, really, really horrid Champions League form in many regards. Without a point and need one drastically here. If they don't get a win, even at worst a point in this game here, you can count their Champions League campaign over. Strong start to the season defensively has sort of faded away in recent weeks for the side. Without a win in 4 games, looking very, very vulnerable at the back at times as well, and just outplayed on the ball. So I'm looking at that midfield. Vermeeren, Campbell, Hadara need a big lift from those in midfield to match the quality that Inter Milan have in the midfield there, and to really break down this Inter Milan side that's so well structured. They don't often concede goals in clumps, so it's really, really important that Leipzig can win or at least halve that midfield battle there. And then looking for Openda and Sesko, like both sides are very similar. Both sides have great strike units, strike combinations. Both sides have a necessity for the midfield to dominate. And Openda and Sesko for me have been really, really unders this season. We need them to stand up here. If there's a time or a place to stand up, it's right now when your Champions League campaign's on the line. Can you stretch this Inter-back line? Can you cause pressure for those wing-backs to not commit so many numbers forward and actually have to defend? And defenders are back five in many regards. With that being said, Inter at home, being the side they are and how well structured they are, I see them getting a very workmanlike 2-0 win for me. Leipzig just don't have the goals in their game right now, and it's starting to show. We move to England for our next game. Manchester City hosts Feyenoord. Obviously, we all know about the current situation in Manchester City. 5 losses on the bounce, the worst run Pep's had in his career, the worst run City have had in ages. It comes to the back of a 4-1 embarrassment in the hands of Sporting Lisbon and one of Ruben Amorim's last game at the helm there at Sporting. But you feel like it's time for a bounce back, and some of the big-name players have to do that. Looking at Phil Foden, Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva in that midfield area, can they be more dynamic? Can they look to pass the ball forward more often, inject some pace in the game? Because right now it's very predictable for Manchester City. Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva are looking very sluggish and slow with and without the ball, and it's really hurting them. And that without Roger, they're getting transitioned on very, very easily. They just need to find a little bit more of a balance in their game and just be a bit more careful on the ball in terms of keeping it more often than not, and finding a balance between when to take the game on and when to just hold and control possession of the football. Kyle Walker looking poor. Akanji, Stones both come back from injuries. They're going to be a bit unders as well. So they're going to be very vulnerable to the counter-attack. And we saw it on the weekend versus Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. Looking at Feyenoord, they lost 3-1 last time at the Salzburg. A very disappointing result in many regards there. And as I said earlier, not many people saw it coming. They're looking to equally bounce back themselves. 6 points so far in the Champions League. So in and amongst those top 24 spots. But it could be a chance for a really, really momentous moment here for the club, getting a point or potentially all three on the road at the Etihad here against a very vulnerable City side. And the blueprint's there. Counter-attack Man City. They're vulnerable to the transitional play. And looking at that midfield there, Timber, Hwang in the middle of the park. Very important to win the ball back again, get Feyenoord going forward at pace and at intensity to break down this Man City side. A strong defensive display from Hanko and Wellenreuther in goal as well will be very, very important. But I think it's down to that midfield area there. Protect the back line, but more importantly, get the side in transition, get the side testing this Man City back four. With that being said, I cannot see City losing 6 games on the bounce. They have to bounce back. They're at home. They're very, very good in the Champions League at home. And I see them getting an important result here. 3-1 for me. They've got the attacking talent. I think it's time for Erling Haaland and Phil Foden to link up and produce a strong performance in this game here. We move to Portugal for our next game as Sporting host Arsenal. Obviously Sporting, the giant killers in their last game, getting that massive result 4-1 over Manchester City means they sit second currently on the Champions League table. They've only conceded 2 goals in the opening 4 games of the Champions League campaign, showing the balance between attack and defence for this side. It's not all about attacking football. It's not all about their structure. They can do a very, very solid job in all areas of the park. And new manager João Pereira has come in and had a flying start. A 6-0 win in the league on the weekend shows that. They're a team that is a unit rather than just led by one manager or one player. It's a whole unit, it's a whole system that is working and working very, very well at this current point in time. With that being said, though, you cannot ignore Victor Gyökeres alongside Trincao as well up top. They've been the dangerous players for me. Their link-up's been fantastic, and they cause massive problems to Man City's back four, and we'll have to do the same here against an Arsenal back four that's very, very solid. Not many mistakes in that back four, so you're going to have to be at your best to get the better of this side here. And also a big emphasis on the wing-backs, especially to limit the effect of Bukayo Saka and potentially Leandro Trossard in those wide areas there. Arsenal look at their best when they get balls in from the wide areas where they can attack into the wide spaces. So very important that those wing-backs switch on defensively for Sporting Lisbon to cover off, especially on the main man, Bukayo Saka. Looking for Arsenal, another disappointing result for them. 1-0 loss last time out against Inter Milan. They look to bounce back here. It's going to be a tough game on the road. But once again, you've got Ødegaard back. You've got Bukayo Saka in some fantastic form. And for Arsenal, you ride these players as far as they can possibly take you. Because right now, outside of those two, the chance creation has been poor. And I think that midfield there, you're going to have to see more from Marino alongside Declan Rice as well. Can you win the ball back? Can you keep ball? Can you break through lines with some of the passes, some of the dribbling moves you've got? Because right now, outside of Martin Odegaard and Saka, there's a lack of chance creation, and that falls down in the midfield. The forwards can't create for themselves. It's going to have to come from that midfield area, though. So looking to the Arsenal midfielders to really step up in this game here and make a stand in many regards. The result, it's going to be tough. Sporting don't concede much, neither do Arsenal. I think Arsenal are making their turnaround now in this current point in time. So I'm backing them in. 2-1 for me. Really tight game of great quality, but not a game of many chances, I think. And that's such, I'm going to see Arsenal nicking it 2-1 for me. Our next game is Young Boys and Atalanta. Unfortunately, I see this one going one way as well. Young Boys have been poor. Only 1 goal scored so far in the Champions League this season. They come off that 2-1 loss to Shakthar Donetsk. And have struggled really in all competitions in terms of ball retention, as well as creation being a real problem for the side here. So looking to that defensive structure to be at its best versus a very dangerous attacking Atalanta outfit. They come off the back of that 2-0 win last time out versus VfB Stuttgart and continue to be very impressive in the Champions League. Yet to concede so far in the Champions League this season. However, that attacking football is the key for me. Now won 6 games on the bounce. And I think the attacking combination, Matagi alongside Adam Olukun, will be too much for me. And for this young boy side to defend against. They've been dynamic at their best. They've been very clinical in front of goal, and I can see it happening yet again here. Go with an Atalanta 4-0 win this game here. Young boys really struggling. Don't think they have the utensils to stop a very in-form and dangerous Atalanta outfit here. Our next game sees the Red Star Belgrade take on VfB Stuttgart. Red Star come off a very tough 5-2 loss last time up versus Barcelona. The counter-attacking style did see the side score 2 goals though, so there is hope here they can cause some problems versus a very possession-based VfB Stuttgart side. And look to that midfield. The midfield five to be very compact and hard-working in this game here to get something from the game. They're difficult to break down. They can win the ball back and get in transition. That could be their best avenue to getting something against a very talented VfB Stuttgart side. So looking to Krunic, Kanga, Elsnik in the heart of that central midfield area to really work both ways defensively and attacking-wise going forward as well. Looking at Stuttgart, they lost their second game of the Champions League last time out in that 2-0 loss at home to Atalanta. So they'll be looking to bounce back. A real mixed bag for them as well in domestic football as well as in the Champions League as well. And they really want to win this game here to keep in touch with those top 24 spots and that chance to progress outside of the league stage. And you look, I think, to the key players of the side being the striker, Demirovic. Got to be clinical in front of goal. You might not get many chances on the road against a very defensive Red Star side, so be clinical when you get your opportunities up top as the big centre forward, and then get the skillful, get the creators on the ball as much as possible. Let them control the game. Furic, Enzo Milo and Krasor in that midfield area there. Allow them to dictate the game. Allow them to get as many touches as possible. Allow them to build in the game and not allow Red Star to have moments of momentum and momentum swings. If you can get these midfield creators on the ball as much as possible, if you can limit Red Star's chances, that's where you can sort of eliminate that away atmosphere and momentum that home team can get from their home ground advantage there. With it being said, it's going to be a really competitive game, I feel like. It's not an easy place to travel, Red Star, but I think Stuttgart do get over the line with some of their quality players they've got. Backing in a 2-1 Stuttgart win here for me. A really intriguing game to see how this one turns out. Sturm Graz and Girona are our next game here. Sturm Graz coming to this game 33rd place on the back of another disappointing 1-0 loss last time out versus Borussia Dortmund. Only 1 goal so far in the Champions League, so to be competitive, you expect it to be based around the defensive structure, especially against a really informed Girona side right now. You look for those fullbacks to really deal with the dangers that Girona have from the wide areas. Can you shut down the wide areas and prevent balls coming in and chance created from those wide spaces? Because that's where Girona get their best movements from, their best passages from. And when they look the most free-flowing is when they can get the ball into those wide spaces. Also, a key job and role for Ketchvili and Chukwuani in the middle of the park. They have to protect that back line, sit in front of that and make it almost a back six in many regards, and not allow balls to just find their way in between both defence and midfield lines there. Really important. So nice and compact and keep that structure in the core of the side very solid and very tight. So force Girona to be a little bit more uncomfortable and forced to break down a real solid brick wall in front of that net there. Looking at Girona, they've turned their form around in recent weeks. 4 wins in a row in domestic football, coming off a 4-0 disappointing loss, however, in the Champions League last time out versus PSV. I said it earlier, the key for this Girona side comes from the wide areas. Gutierrez, Brian Kiel are probably the 2 most talented players in the side, the most dangerous players, and every time they seem to touch it or get heavily involved in games of football, that's when it swings in favour of Girona. They like to play really attractive style of football. They like to keep a lot of possession under Michel's system, and these 2 players can be the link between that midfield area and the final end product. So important to get as many touches on the ball as they can, these 2 guys here. And important for us to Gazzaniga in goal. Sturm Graz, they're not a very attacking side, but if they do get chances, you can't afford to concede 1 or 2 goals from 3 or 4 shots on target. You're going to have to have a very awake and aware goalkeeper that they might only get 2 shots on goal, but it's important he keeps both out the net. For Girona to get all 3 points in this game here. It'll be a massive one for them if they can do so, and I do see them getting all 3 points. Going with the Girona 2-1 win over Sturm Graz for me. A real tough away game, a real gritty away performance, but they'll get the job done here for me. We move back to England for our next game, and Villa Park as Aston Villa take on Juventus in our next game here. Villa dropped to their first loss of the Champions League campaign with a 1-0 away loss at Club Brugge in a very controversial fashion, with the penalty handed to Club Brugge in the end. But they're looking to bounce back again. They've struggled in all competitions, with goals being the major problem for Aston Villa, which is really surprising considering their incredible start to the season. As such, a lot will fall onto the creators in the side. Morgan Rogers, John McGinn, Leon Bailey. Can they be at their creative best? Can they create that real pizzazz X factor in the final third that will cause Juventus some problems? They're a very defensively orientated side that defends first and really attack second from there on in. A real structured system under Thiago Motta. So you don't need those creators, those X factors in the final third to be at their best. Not where they've been in recent weeks in Premier League and Champions League football, which is probably a 5 or 6 out of 10 in many regards there. You need a 7 or 8 out of 10 performance from all those players in the final third there. Defending the counter-attack and preventing Juventus, for me, that's Aston Villa's keys. Can you defend Juventus' counter-attacking style? Can you defend Juventus' possession style when they want to play that style as well? It's going to be a real balance for Aston Villa to manage the moments, use the home crowd, use the momentum that you can get playing at Villa Park there. It'll be also very, very important keys for Aston Villa's chances in this game here versus a very talented Juventus side. Free-flowing football has not been common this season, but I think Juventus fans and Juventus players have come to be, sort of gotten used to that in many regards. I feel like, though, the midfield 3, Locatelli, Kefren Turam and Tino Koopmeiners, they're running both ways. They work defensively to cover off and prevent Yuri Tielemans alongside Barkley or even Onana from deep areas, creating from those deep line positions, and then also going forward, especially Koopmeiners, play that incisive pass, put pressure on this Villa back line, potentially test the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, to be dangerous going forward as well. It's going to require a lot for this Juventus side to get standing out of this game. We know how challenging it is playing at Villa Park, but it's about managing these key moments. When you're on top, take your chances. And when Villa are on top, just manage the momentum. Take a bit of the sting out of the game with some slow possession, slowing the game up, and get the game back on your terms. I think this Juventus side, it's a young group, but they have the ability to do that because they know about these big Champions League nights. With that being said, it's going to be a tight one to call, but I think I'm going with a 2-2 draw in the end. Again, both sides have struggled in front of goal, but they might just cancel their route here. We might see a very entertaining game on our hands with both teams coming out of it with a point. Our next game sees Bologna take on Lille. Bologna coming off a late 1-0 loss to Monaco last time out. However, yet to score so far in the Champions League, so we're desperate for a goal, especially in this home game here. It's a must-win for Bologna, simply put. If they want to get in touching distance or within the top 24, a win is needed in this game here versus a very talented Lille side in many regards. For Bologna, despite being a mixed bag in all competitions, whenever the 2 wide men stand up, as being Indoy and Orsolini, they normally perform at a very, very high level. So look to those wide players to get involved here. Look to them to stretch and run in behind this Lille back line and keep them accountable. This is a Lille side that's very, very solid defensively. So you're going to have to stretch them, pressurise them as much as you possibly can to try and see some cracks open in many regards here. Looking at Lille, they're on 7 Champions League points after a 1-1 draw last time out versus Juventus. They look to take the game to you. Bologna, I think, look at the likes of Angel Gomez, as well as Jonathan David and Zagreb up top. They're very, very talented players that like to get on the ball, like to make things happen in the final third. And I feel like if these players are heavily involved, I'd like to see a real attacking, dynamic little performance that could see a few goals find the back of that in this game here. Obviously, a big role for Diakate and Ribeiro at the heart of the central defensive region there, just to keep the Bologna side at arm's distance, especially with Bologna playing at home. They're going to have that home ground advantage, but if those two centre-backs can manage key moments and can keep Bologna away from the goal, it'll go a long way for Lille dominating and controlling this game of football. With that being said, backing in Lille here, they've got the quality players, they've got probably the better form out of the side, so I'm backing them in to get a big result here. 3-1 for me for Lille on the road, and probably condemning Bologna to more struggle in the Champions League this season. Move to Scotland for our next game as Celtic take on a very dangerous Club Brugge side. Celtic obviously coming off the back of a real statement 3-1 win at home versus RB Leipzig last time out in the Champions League. That takes them to 7 points so far this season in the league itself. They haven't lost in the last 10 games in all competitions, this Celtic side, so their domestic form is top tier and the Champions League form has followed in recent weeks. And I say it most weeks, but yet again, that midfield for Celtic makes things happen. They get things going forward of the pitch, and they also prevent that back four really, really well. So look to like the Engels, McGregor and Hatate to do their best. Be dangerous in that midfield area, get the ball moving forward, and get it moving forward at pace, and really pressurising this Club Brugge side, who obviously come off a win of their own. That 1-0 win versus Villa, despite it being controversial or not. It was a massive 3 points for them. Take the side to 6 points so far in the Champions League table. They're also unbeaten in 7 games in all competitions, are equally in some good form as well. It's a very challenging place to go and play, though, away at Celtic, so it's really important that Club Brugge, if they want to get something from this game, is to manage the moments, manage the atmosphere, and just prevent Celtic from getting a roll on, because we know in games they can get a bit of an attacking momentum going, and that's when they can score 2 or 3 goals very, very quickly. So you might need a lean on the likes of Mignolet in goal to try and ride your luck if you're a Club Brugge fan and the Club Brugge side. Potentially even Vanaken and Jutkla up top. Can they be clinical in the break, make the most of potentially limited chances the side will get? With that being said, I think Celtic are just way too good at home. I'm backing them in yet again. 3-1 for me. They continue their great form and really solidify a top 24 spot for the current point in time. Our next game is Dinamo Zagreb and Borussia Dortmund. I can see a bit of an upset happening here. You got Zagreb, who come off a dominant 4-1 win over Slovan Bratislava, taking the side to 7 points so far this season in the Champions League. And it's pretty clear the message. Borussia Dortmund do not like travelling, and if you can pressurise their team in possession, playing out from the back, whether it be the keeper, the back four, or those deep line midfield players, it will go a long way for you winning this game of football. So I'm looking to Marko Pijaka, Spikic, and also Kulenevic up top to really pressurise as that front three there. Put the back line under pressure. Don't give them much time on the ball, and don't let them comfort to take a touch, get their head up, and play the passes around the park. Also important roles for Sucic and Misic in midfield to keep the midfield as competitive as possible. Keep a hold of possession as long as you can, and put, as I said, pressure on this Borussia Dortmund midfield that doesn't like a pressing team or pressure on the ball for long periods of time there. Look at the Borussia Dortmund. They go back to winning ways last time out in the Champions League. That 1-0 win over Sturm Graz. Over only 1 win away from home so far in all competitions this season. That came in the Champions League in the first game versus Club Brugge. So they'll definitely want to try and get a win on the road here to reignite some confidence in the side here. And it's going to be a balance for me. How can that midfield deal with the pressure that's going to be put on them, especially away from home? Nemetcha, Savitsa and Liam Brandt. Can they just keep calm, control the ball in the midfield area? And also another massive role falls into the shoulders of Garassi and Gittins up top. They might not get many chances in the road, but they're going to be clinical when they do get them. And they've both been in some fantastic form throughout different patches of the season. But can we see both of them firing together and getting the better of a weakened side they're going up against here? Because Dinamo Zagreb are nowhere near as talented, but they might just outwork this Dortmund side. I think the horrors of away trips will continue to hurt Dortmund. I've gone with the Dinamo Zagreb 2-0 win in this one here. I just can't see Dortmund getting their act together on the road this season. Now it's time for the big one. Liverpool and Real Madrid is our next game here. Probably two of the favourites for the Champions League so far this season. And looking at Liverpool, probably continue to be the best team in world football. Defensively, way too good. attacking-wise, goals for fun. It's just an unstoppable team right now under Arne Slot. And you look at it, it's the best record in the Champions League, sitting top of the Champions League. The only team with a perfect record so far this season. They come off the back of a 4-0 dominant performance versus Leverkusen, where they once again showed they don't need 65, 60, 70% possession to go and dominate and dictate a game. They can do it with 50% possession or less. So Real Madrid have to find that fine balance between how much possession they want to have and how much possession they're willing to give up to Liverpool, because we know how talented they are all over the park. You look up top, Salah and Diaz, simply put, are just unstoppable at this current point in time. They'll yet again be the keys to try and stretch this Real Madrid backline and put pressure on a, I guess, inexperienced and injury-riddled back four that has a lot of holes to get at. So if those two players are in the mood and are in some confidence, it could be night-night for Real Madrid in many regards. Equally important as well, the two centre-halves, Van Dijk and Kanate, having to deal with what Bellingham, Mbappe, Endrick and Co were putting up against them. So very, very important they stay nice, compact, play with that same confidence they've had all season. They'll go a long way for Liverpool win this game of football. And really, really important is also the home ground advantage. Anfield plays a big role for Liverpool. It gets the energy behind the side, and especially on Champions League nights, that place is bouncing. So a really, really important factor to consider in this game here. Looking at Real, they come off that shock 3-1 loss last time out to AC Milan, the Champions League. But they've made a statement in league football since that point in time. A 7-0 aggregate result in their last two games in the league shows they've really bounced back. With that being said, though, no Vinicius during this game here. He'll miss about a month with, I believe, a thigh injury. So it also falls on Mbappe, Endrick, Arda Güler, Jude Bellingham. Can they make the difference? Can this different set of players still make the same impact on the game? Especially Mbappe, the big money signing that's been forced down the middle due to what Vinicius Jr. has done in the past. He can now go back to the left. Can he show us what he's all about? Can he get at a real inexperienced Conor Bradley and make an impact for Real Madrid in this game here? They've got some injury problems, but they've still got some superstars on the pitch to make the difference for me. I think also a really, really important role would be for Modric and Camavinga in that midfield there. Liverpool's midfield of Gravenberch, McAllister and Curtis Jones have been running muck in the Premier League. Can these two be competitive? Can these two offset the impact that those two midfielders can have for Liverpool and get Real Madrid in control of the game? Because we've seen them sit off a little bit too much in Champions League football and allow opposition too much time on the ball. Want to be at the races from the start, and Modric and Camavinga can set that tone for me. Looking at both sides, they probably cancel it out, and that's how I'm going to go with a score draw in this one here. Going Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 2. Both sides have talent up top, both sides with elite level defenders, and both have amazing midfields. Liverpool in some better form. They're at home, but it's Real Madrid on a Champions League night and needing to bounce back. I just see it being a score draw in many regards here. 2-2 for me. Our penultimate game is in the Principality. Monaco taking on Benfica. Monaco obviously got a valuable win last time out against Bologna on the road. Takes them a third currently in the Champions League table. They're going to be a real tough team to beat going forward because of how good they are at both ends of the pitch. I feel like their attacking style of football will be key in this game here. Looking at Ekaluchi, Ben Seguir and Embolo, the dangerous front line that plays a lot of freedom and a lot of confidence in the final third, and they're all in some great form right now and can see them causing some real problems for this Benfica back line here. Also important roles he played from the fullbacks, Vanderson and Mawissa, to shut down Di Maria and Artakoglu as well on the flanks from Benfica, who are probably their most important players in many regards as well. Benfica have lost the last two Champions League games though, are not on 6 points in 19th place and are desperate for a bounce back result. They've got a massive few results recently in the Liga Portugal. 4-1 win over Porto, 7-0 win most recently in the league. They're in some great form in league football, but can they correlate that over to the Champions League? And as I said, it's going to fall down to those creative players, Di Maria, Artakoglu, and likely Cabral up top, leading the line to find the back of the net, find the side and avenue to goal. So really important those players are heavily involved. They're at their best to beat a really dangerous Monaco side with some great defenders and equally as dangerous going forward themselves. With that being said, I'm backing in Monaco in some great form, playing with a lot of confidence. I'm just seeing them nick this game here, 2-1 versus a equally dangerous Benfica side. We're with the Netherlands for our final game of this match day. It is PSV and Shakthar Donetsk. PSV come off a fantastic 4-0 result last time out versus Girona. Despite the side lengthy injury list, they got the result there. And they're currently sitting 24th, so inside of those qualifying spots for the next round. 20 goals scored in the last 5 games. It shows the attacking style of football is there for PSV. That's going to help with them being at home in this game here. I feel like, as it is most weeks when I look at PSV, I'm looking to the wide players, Bakayoko and Lang, to provide the spark going forward, to provide the energy and incisiveness in the final third. They're going to be, once again, very, very important. And last game's star man, Tillman, 1 goal and 2 assists versus Girona. He was all over that midfield area and will have to be really, really important yet again to get a result here versus a dangerous Shakhtar side on the break. Looking at Shakhtar, they come for their first win in the Champions League, beating Young Boys 2-1 and moving up to 4 points so far in the Champions League this season. They've got 4 wins in a row, in some good form. However, this game you just think will be a little bit too difficult for the side. They're going to be combative in that midfield area, close down the likes of those Tillmans and the midfield creators that the PSV side have. So looking at the likes of Bondarenko and Kriski in that midfield area, with Sudakov dropping back as well as a 3 to support, keep that midfield nice and compact. And as I said, make it real tough and scrappy bad in that midfield area to stop the pace of the game, which PSV will want to play with. A lot of support will be required for that back four as well. I think PSV will be the team in control of this game, and as such, I see them winning it quite convincingly in the end. 3-1 for me. They continue their great run of form and push further up the Champions League ladder. With that being said, ladies and gents, that's a very hefty Champions League prediction video. I'm sorry if it's so long, but there's all my thoughts on all the games coming up from this week's Champions League action. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What's your favourite game from the week's action? Who's your key players? And do you think there'll be any shock results? Leave that all in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, smash a like and subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos and podcasts here. And also press that post notification bell so you know we upload here on the channel. Hope you have a great day, guys. Enjoy the Champions League midweek action. And I'll see you guys on the video or podcast very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.